Hello and welcome to our preview show to round 11 of the World Rally Championship from the very historic, very special Rally GB. Now, this is quite a special preview show because we have travelled to M Sports in Dovenby, Cockermouth, and we're sat currently in the trophy room, and there's plenty of trophies in here, so this is a very special place to be. Matt, before we talk about Rally GB and the upcoming fight between Sébastien Ogier, Oitanak and Thierry Neuville, let's look back at Rally Turkey. It was brutal.
It was a proper car breaker, wasn't it? I don't think we've seen probably anything like that in the WRC since, I think you'd have to go back to Safari days to get something that brutal and that much damage that was done to the cars. I mean, at every service point, all the teams were changing, all the suspension parts, all the panels on the cars. It was like going back to the older days, really. So, yeah, it was a brutal event, and I think whoever survived the best was the one that came out on top, and that was clearly Oitanak, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he did an incredible job, and as you said, it wasn't just the cars that were tested, it wasn't just the drivers, it was the whole team. End of every single day, everything basically got replaced. Yeah. All the suspension, all the brakes, everything got replaced. It was assumed that they were bent and broken. It was that bad. You mentioned Oitanak. He did a fantastic job, and he's just on this winning streak now. He's on a roll of 3 successive victories, and his confidence is high. I
think that's the thing, mate. It's confidence, isn't it? You know, I think he's got, as you say, he's got that confidence, he's got that role, and even probably the Oitanak of old in Turkey would have been frustrated that he wasn't on the pace, you know, because the Toyotas didn't have the pace of the Ford and the Hyundai, but they obviously played a smarter, longer game. And I think the Oitanak of old would have probably got a bit frustrated and maybe made a mistake or something, but he did exactly the right thing. He let the rally come to him. And yeah, it was a very clever drive and put himself back in a great position, hasn't he, for going into 2 rounds to go.
The championship is wide open, and I think as well the beauty of what we saw from Oitanak is he has come of age, he's matured. He was always quick, he was always able to drive a rally car incredibly fast, but he didn't employ that strategy, that kind of, like you said, I'll let the rally come to me. Yeah. And now he's doing that. He's the whole package.
Yeah, he's much more complete. You know, I think it's a bit more of the Sébastien Ogier mentality. You know, if I can't win, what's the highest amount of points I can possibly get, whether that means finishing 3rd and getting power stage points or whatever. And I think definitely Oitanak's more complete in that sense now.
Thanks, Matt. And as we just said, Rally Turkey has turned the championship on its head. Thierry Neuville leads 13 points clear of Oitanak. Sébastien Ogier just 10 further back. Esa-Pekka Lappi lies 4th with 88, with Jari-Matti and Andreas Mikkelsen both tied in 5th place with 75 points. And it's all to play for in the Manufacturers' Championship. Toyota lead Hyundai by just 5 points. M Sport have dropped further back. They're on 244. A disaster season for Citroën, 4th with 169. So Toyota lead the Manufacturers' Championship, and one man who has helped them do that this year has been Jari-Matti, and I caught up with him at home in Finland in episode 3 of Mike Meets. Jari-Matti, this is a good place to start.
Yes, indeed.
You've probably got on this back wall 100, 150 trophies. Which one would be your favourite?
Everything starts from here, from the left, and goes all the way up there, where the latest trophies. But of course, there's one very special trophy. And it is actually the biggest trophy I have. It's the Rally Sweden 2008.
First ever win.
Exactly.
Can I be really cheeky and go and get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Do you mind?
Absolutely.
So this is it, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, crikey, there's some weight on that.
Yes, and it's the biggest trophy I've ever got.
Right. So that's your favourite trophy?
Yes.
First ever victory?
I still remember the feeling. It was amazing. The happiness, the enjoyment, I mean, and so much media was interested of, and I felt like after the race I had to go one place to another. Come here, come, take photos, take photos. Something what you have been wanting you were since you were 8 years old. You wanted to win a World Rally Championship race.
It was great to meet up with Jari-Matti at home in Finland, Matt. But next up, it's Rally GB. If the weather turns on us that weekend, mud, gravel, the grip levels are constantly changing, and it's a really difficult event for the crews. And again, one of those events that sometimes you have to take a step back, let other people make mistakes. And I think that's going to be the case. Certainly, it's not going to be outright speed. as we head to Rally GB. For Sébastien Ogier, Thierry Neuville and Ott Tanak, all three have so much to lose, particularly Seb. He cannot afford to make a mistake on a rally where it is so easy to make a mistake.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you've touched on it all there, Mike, really. I mean, I think we could have two very different events. You know, if the weather's dry in the build-up to the rally and dry over the weekend of the event, then we could have a really, really fast, you know, very, very quick rally, and road position could play, you know, a big part. You know, if it is dry, probably first on the road isn't the best, but if we get what I would call a traditional Rally GB, as it should be, with mud and rain and, you know, horrible weather, then, you know, first on the road is the best place to be. So there's two different scenarios that can play out over the week, and I think for Sébastien Ogier especially, I don't think he has to really think about anything anymore. I think all he needs to think about is just trying to win the last 3 rallies of the season and taking as many points as he can. And if he does that, he'll then put the other two under pressure. I think they've got a little bit more of a game, maybe a bit of a strategy still to play. But for Sébastien Ogier in the position he is, he just has to think about winning the rallies now.
He's got to. He has to win the rallies. Who's your money on going into GB?
I got it wrong in Turkey. Well, I truly did. I got it wrong. It's a controversial one, but I'm going to say Thierry Neuville.
I was going to say Thierry Neuville. I was going to say Thierry because he said it. I'm going to go Ott Tanak. No, I'm not. I changed my mind. I'm going to go Sébastien Ogier.
I think out of the 3 guys fighting at the front, you know, they've all got a good history, a good reputation at Rally GB. I think they'll all be in with a shout. I think some of it is going to be a little bit, you know, how the weather pans out, what sort of conditions we get. There's a lot of new stages as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sticking to Thierry Neuville.
Rally GB is a place where so much action has happened in the past in the World Rally Championship. Colin McRae won his Drivers' Championship in '95. Carlos Sainz lost his in '98. Richard Burns, Petter Solberg all became champions at Rally GB. And, of course, the fights between Mikko Hirvonen and Sebastian Loeb, they all took place in Wales. We won't crown a champion in Wales this year, but I think there's a good chance that we will leave Wales Rally GB with a clear winner in mind. Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, in some ways where we are here and the history of last year, you know, obviously M Sport have a very good feeling from Rally GB from last year. You know, it was a scene of Sébastien Ogier clinching the title, Elvin Evans getting his first win. So I think there's probably some of them trophies in here, actually. Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's an event that they'll be really wanting to, you know, to do well on. And as you say, you know, add to that history of what you've just mentioned there from them real sort of special occasions. So, yeah, it's going to be a real interesting one, isn't it? I think we're in for a good, exciting weekend. As always, it's going to be a fascinating event. Make sure you join Matt and myself at Wales Rally GB on Red Bull TV. Friday, the 5th of October is our first show. Until then, we'll see you there. Jari-Matti, this is a good place to start.
Yes, indeed.
You've probably got on this back wall 100...